You are now listening to Femme Regard Podcast with Tessa Markle
and Carolina Alvarez.
Femme.
Hey, fam, welcome back to the podcasting room. We're here today, as always, spill the tea on some filmmaking, production tips, and we have a spectacular independent filmmaker, writer-director, Aaron Isaac Vasquez on the show today. He's someone I've connected with personally on the gram, and, that just goes to say, it's just being present doesn't necessarily mean DMing and overwhelming content creators, but just, showing up and liking and being present in that capacity in the comments, it doesn't go unnoticed. And someone like Aaron, because he was showing up for us and myself, I started following him and I just fell in love with his work. He dabbles as well in graphic design. By dabbles, he works as well in graphic design and has done some great poster and pitch deck work, which caught my eye because I've been having to do some pitches personally lately, and it's been great to pull from that or even redo our pitch decks. Oh my gosh, the amount of pitch decks I've done for Sync is crazy. And honestly, sometimes I'm like, wow, is this going to go to waste? Because it would be sometimes internally too. Like I want to show a makeup artist different looks on how I want a scar or wound to look, right? Or for our editor, how I want the color, like what color inspo I'm looking for, and tone and all of that. So I actually ended up being able to compile all that for a recent competition and for myself as a portfolio. So you guys never know when sometimes it feels like a lot of work is like for nothing, but it truly isn't. You're building skills, you're building a portfolio of work, and you never know when that's going to come handy. Because now I have all this great before, like what as a creative director, what I put together, and now an end result, fingers crossed, coming very soon. We're wrapping up our feature, very close. So not to go on this long tangent, but that's kind of where we're at and what I've seen come out of putting in time and effort to building those skills. And a lot of the graphics I've helped design for our film. And so talking to someone like Aaron, who's also studied it and also self-learned a lot of it, is really inspiring. So he gives some tips and just tools that we've both used. So I think you guys will definitely get some great takeaways on that. And again, both of our doors are open if you have any questions. Because it's again, another tool you got to learn, but when you're working on a low budget and have to do a lot of it yourself, there are tools out there to help you get it done. So I hope you leave with it inspired, and just Aaron's a great guy.
Yeah,
got some great films in the works, horror that we love.
Yeah, I think it's inspirational and a good reminder, like, you can do it yourself. You can learn to do all these things yourself. And, he was self-taught as a filmmaker. He did go to school for the graphic design, but he talks a lot about like how actually accessible it is to learn how to do these things and to put the tools to work for yourself, and I mean, yes, we don't want to take away, of course, from any of the professionals who do this for a living. Like, they've got a lot of experience and knowledge. And if you have the money to hire somebody else, why not have a pro do it? But if you don't have the money, especially, or if it's something you're just really interested in and want to learn how to do, like, the tools are out there, the resources are out there for you to be able to do it yourself.
Yeah, I think I could have a whole solo episode on this, honestly, because I'm very passionate about like self-teaching yourself these kinds of skills, and that it doesn't have to be like if you are overwhelmed and haven't done a pitch deck before, for instance, or film poster. Like I still am like, I can't believe I made it for us. I hope this is okay still, because I am not this professional, quote unquote. But I think even it trickles down to the simplest things of a title card, or for your pitch video, right? Or who's going to edit your pitch video? Are you going to have to hire someone every single time you're coming up with your own promotional materials? And that's just going to add up, plain and simple. So if anyone on your team at least has the ability to like spend that time, or I always encourage you yourself, especially if you're a filmmaker, to go and learn some of these softwares. Again, Canva is just the easiest thing. I really think anyone can do it. Go and pursue that, because it's going to help you. Again, maybe you can spend more money on your film poster. Amazing. Like, hire a professional then. But what's going to lead you to that point, right? And like, having any of those skills are going to help you get to that point where you can hire someone. But to hire someone for every single time, I mean, we go into it in this episode a bit with like me creating some graphics for our film. You know, I know we don't have a budget for that. So I put in the work and I figured it out for us. And that's what it comes down to sometimes. So, but had I not dabbled in that, you know, it's just great that, you know, I can show forth and save some money for our film. So it pays off, guys. Like, push yourself. I know it can be overwhelming at first, but Canva is not overwhelming. I promise. It's like the easiest tool. So with that, I hope this again leaves you feeling like, okay, I'm going to explore some of these sites, get down, take some notes, guys, on your notepad, and enjoy this episode. Well, thanks, Erin, for hopping on. As we were just saying, it's nice to meet someone who you've been following on the gram for a while in like almost real life.
Yeah.
Virtual plane. But no, I'd always, for me especially, I always pay attention to people who are like interacting and staying in touch with projects. And it's not even like, you need to, please don't flood my DMs every day. Actually, like, I just disclaimer, do not do that. I will not respond. But like, just any kind of interaction is always just like, it doesn't go unnoticed, is what I'm saying. So I just really loved the connection we've had. And it's been really cool to see what projects you're working on. And I was like, you know what? I fuck with Erin, so we're gonna have Erin on the show because I want to actually meet you and like hear more about your story, coming from the Portland, Pacific Northwest area. So yeah, thank you. Thanks for all of that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I feel like it's kind of important, especially like now with the like digital, social age, that you kind of have to be kind of engaging with others. I kind of like that I can follow people from all around the country. You know, there's people like in LA a lot, New York, and I kind of interact and follow people that I think are doing really cool stuff. So yeah, I saw y'all stuff and I support it and think it was really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the beauty of social media. Honestly, we've had so many guests that we met first on social media, whether it was, you know, just by chance, something we saw on their page, or if it was through another friend. But that's how, yeah, we've met a lot of our guests who we've ended up working with on projects and everything. So listeners, like, use it. It really is a great tool. Yeah. Well, Erin, I would love to kind of go back to the beginning with you and tell us how you got into filmmaking, writing, directing, all of that. Tell us your story.
Yeah, so ever since I can remember, I was around filmmaking. My grandpa and my uncle would make films on like 8mm, and then they jumped up to like VHS when that started coming out, and they made indie films. I think that they were pretty sure they were like feature length, because I remember them being long, but I haven't watched them in forever. But yeah, I kind of just grew up with that, watching them make these films and write their scripts on a typewriter, and eventually I wanted to make my own, and kind of I got to act in some of the films, and so I remember my mom brought home a typewriter, and I typed up like script, and we went out and got a camera and filmed some stuff, and I kind of just been doing it ever since. I stopped for a little bit during high school, and I pursued like the music thing. I did like singing and playing guitar as the front man in a couple bands, and then after that, I kind of, my passion for film took a hold again, and I think the pandemic kind of pushed me to really pursue it a lot more, like seriously, especially the screenwriting part of it.
Interesting. Did you end up like going to film school or taking any, classes, kind of like formal training, I guess, in that area? Or
No, I kind of some friends and I in like 2007 decided to make a feature, and it was like a collective directing camera. It's not the best thing, but it was like we kind of all jumped in and just did this thing over a summer, and just figured out how to make something. We wrote a script, and then that was my first time like really editing something that long. And I did the score for it and acted, and so it was cool. And then we did a couple more no budgets like that, and that was just basically like the film school, just kind of like understanding how the workflow of a film goes. And then I kind of did a lot of acting. I was on some sets for TV and film as an extra, and I would always just watch the crews and everybody. And eventually, I did some crew work myself, and then got to do my first like budgeted, funded short film, and it was like a UFO short film, like kind of like a Spielberg homage type movie, and then I just kind of focused more on directing since then. Yeah.
Nice. Carolina and I also, went that path. We didn't go to film school. We just learned on the job. And I mean, not to talk shit on film school, like I'm sure it's amazing. I know people that really value, doing that and going through it. But I really think that's kind of the best way to learn, because you can only learn so much in a classroom. And until you actually get thrown into it, you really see everything that goes into it. And you also, I think, through that experience, realize your own strengths and weaknesses and what you want to specialize in, and the things that you're like, this is definitely not my department, but now I know. Yeah.
I like that aspect of the film school, because it's kind of like you see every part of different kind of jobs, and then you kind of find out what you like to do, or where you feel like what part calls to you.
Yeah,
and
I think that you did a good job of, like Tessa was saying, kind of trying everything, feeling it out. But going back to you saying, I like that you were like, yeah, so I want to take the writing and the directing seriously, but that didn't mean going to film school necessarily. So it's always a good follow-up question here. What in you took, like, what aspect or I guess action did you take to, like, even for writing, to make it a serious prerogative for yourself? And was it just trying to do your first feature? Like, what was that? Like, what were those actionable first steps for you?
Yeah, with the writing, it kind of like, I didn't have anything to do during the pandemic, really. I was doing a lot of graphic design work, and then I had heard about this app called Clubhouse, and I had gotten on there, and it was crazy. It was like everybody was on there at this time, and it was like just a big, I don't know, it felt like almost like a film festival where you're just meeting people and networking, kind of talking and hearing insights that I'd never gotten to hear from different perspectives of people that are in the film industry, and then I made friends with people and kind of listened to some people that they had really great advice on like what it takes, and after that, I just started reading all of my favorite films screenplays. Just I just wanted to see how they looked and how they were structured and stuff, and I kind of that really helped like find my voice. And then I got to meet some great people through Clubhouse and kind of like worked with some writers that are actively working in the industry and stuff. So that was really cool. That was kind of like my step, and then I found my structure, and I set myself like hard deadlines, which I feel like helped a lot. And I did like 3 features from COVID till now in that time, which was like I
That's
was waking up
amazing.
at 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning, just writing. And I had been in a couple writers groups and doing that, like accountability
It's those
stuff.
early morning hours, Aaron. I don't know what about it, but that's where the magic is, isn't it? It's quiet, right? And like no one's
Yeah, I would do that
DMing you
before
yet.
I'm gonna wake up to take my daughter to school.
Yeah.
You're like, it's because
that's
of my
the
parent,
thing.
Carolina. No, but we all have jobs and stuff to get to. So I just think that's great that you, first of all, congrats on writing like 3 feature films in this time span. That is still like such a hard thing to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
I know how long it took to finesse sync, and like that finding. It sounds like you networked, found your community more so, which is always awesome to have some group of people to kind of piggyback off ideas or share like what you're working on, get that sense, and kind of support you through the writing process. Honestly, gotta have a support group. I know I did. Tessa was number one in there.
That's essential. Yeah,
it's very
existential. Or did you say it's essential or existential? Because
all the things.
All the things. But what stories did you discover that you were most passionate about telling, if you don't mind sharing? Because that's a thing too, as part of the writer's journey.
I like telling genre stories, but also I like stories about people who are maybe alone, or they feel alone, and then like they just kind of go through this journey and trying to like find themselves while something major is going on in their life that is just kind of carries them through this journey that kind of builds their character, kind of tests them, and puts them kind of like through a fire, and to see how they come out on the other side is really fun. A lot of the stories that I write are female-led, and I kind of did that decision because I had a daughter, and kind of I just wanted her to have stories that she could watch and kind of see herself in some of these, and like even my last screenplay, I named the character after her and her brother. So that was pretty cool.
I love that.
Yes, for creating more stories for young women to look up to. I love that. Yeah. We love that. And I love that, that through line of someone who is maybe alone, not having branched out or overcome something yet. You can apply that to so many scenarios. So I feel like it's very specific, which I love. Like it's a feeling that you can find in so many worlds, I guess, and situations, which I'm sure you draw upon the Pacific Northwest for those settings and stories.
It's a little rainy.
I'm like, being alone inside. That sounds familiar.
But let's talk about your life up there.
Yeah. It's good. So I bartend as my like day job, and I've been in like the bar industry for almost 20 years. So that kind of allows me to like have my days free to I can like focus on writing and filmmaking and stuff. So it's like kind of gives me like a flexible schedule and stuff, which I really like. And
That's awesome.
yeah, the winters are sometimes a little rough, but I discovered taking vitamin D and magnesium and stuff. So popping little vitamins up here during the winter. I really like it. It helps my creative mind when it's like dreary and stuff. I feel like it just sends me into like a hyper focused state where I'm just like finish stuff.
And do you have like a film community up there? I mean, it's there's film everywhere,
it's
right?
Really nice up here. Yeah. I've been able to meet some really amazing people up here and collaborate, and I have like friends that are actively doing stuff. There's a lot of people up here that are filming and making stuff happen, and it's really great to have that energy up here and to know that if you want to get something done, it could probably happen pretty easily.
Yeah, we'd love to hear that.
Yeah, we do. Have you heard of Taylor Morden by chance? That filmmaker? I see you're following him. So if you two haven't connected,
maybe no.
You had him on the show.
May have tagged me in something, but no, I don't know. I haven't interacted with him, but I did follow.
He just did a horror short film called Vampire, so like a horror Bambi vampire film.
People that have worked on it, yes, yeah.
Oh, sick! But I was like, like he was telling us about the community, and it's one you definitely and from which he's from a specific town that I'm blanking on, but you might have to do a little more outreach yourself and like really find the community, but you can, because everyone you then find might not want to be busy doing or aren't as passionate about the commercial work that you can get, and then you find your creatives who are wanting to do more of the narrative exciting pieces or documentary. He does a lot of documentaries, so Vampire was his like first narrative. So I mean, it's cool to hear that from your perspective. There is a community there that has been super supportive to you, and I think because he's not specifically from Portland, so that might be like a difference. He's like, I'm from this other town,
and I've only been here 5 years.
Okay.
Originally from Austin, Texas, and that's kind of that. They have a pretty good film community too.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like film is everywhere. Creatives live everywhere, and we've talked to a lot of people that are in other hubs or also just kind of in the middle of nowhere, and they've been able to find that community. And it's really just, you got to do that reach out. Like you got to go the extra mile if you're not in a hub to find people, but they're there.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about your film Devil's Ride. It's the latest feature film project that I know I've supported, and I loved the themes, and I just want to talk about it because it's a feature that I know you are developing and looking to do. So why don't you share a little bit about what that film is with our listeners?
Yeah. So originally it was I believe it was a short film that my best friend kind of brought to my attention, and he kind of told me about this concept of sleep paralysis and just making a horror that's about that. And then we started, the years went by and it kind of turned into a feature film. And then we kind of started bouncing ideas. And it really turned into something else when I kind of jumped on as a co-writer with him. We found an executive producer who's amazing, who kind of like got us thinking, like got our minds working and asked good questions about the story that kind of like took it to another level. And so it's turned into this thing where it's about, generational trauma, but it's also a horror movie, and it dives into like this cool story that is really scary, but I feel like it's not been seen before on screen. I know that when we get it made, it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard. Like, there's so much that has been done in horror to come up with a totally original idea. So it's really exciting whenever someone's like, I don't think I've seen this before, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and as someone, I've also I've been wanting to do a horror film on sleep paralysis, and I incorporated a bit of it in Sync because I am one who suffers from that from time to
Same.
time.
Same.
Yeah, do you as well, Aaron?
I don't think I've ever
Woo!
experienced it. Yeah.
Lord has blessed you.
It's a journey.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons, because I've heard people's stories about it, and that was a reason that was like, oh yeah, this if it's that scary in real life, that if we can put some scenes, and shout out to Daquan, the other writer, he's the director. He kind of came up with that idea for it, and I think it's going to be really great. We're in talks with some finance people, so we're in the right steps to get this thing rolling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The financing is always the hardest part, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, have you found that, maybe finding financiers is the best way to go about it at this point, and to like, where do you find these people? Can I ask?
Yeah, a lot of it is through connections, really. Just our executive producer, she has reached out to some people she knows, and then also Daquan reaching out to his, his network of people, and we kind of tried to do the crowdfund, and it wasn't successful, but that wasn't our only route. So we kind of like, after we didn't get what we wanted, we kind of shift our focus, and just kind of found another avenue, and that's the path we're on right now with it.
Yeah, we're always interested to hear how people fund their independent films, because, it's unfortunately a lot of people that make independent films are just independently wealthy as well, and you don't really hear about that, and you think like, oh, well, where did these people get this money? And it's like, oh, they just self-funded. They just had it lying around, where then there's all the rest of us that are like, okay, a nothing budget in Hollywood terms is still, like, Carolina, I think you said it today, it's like somebody's college tuition. Like, it's still a lot of money for the rest of us. So, like, for instance,
like,
for our feature,
a loan or something.
Exactly. For our feature, it was really important for us to, like, we were willing to pay some things out of pocket, but we didn't want to have to take out a loan and, like, do it all ourselves. So we were totally donation based. We did a couple crowdfunding campaigns, and, now we're at the point where, like, we're finishing post. We're like, we need a little bit more money. Like, how do you find new people? So it's always interesting to hear where people are finding, whether they're investors or donors or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I always think that too when I hear the stories of the, because it's so hard to make a movie, especially a feature, and like anybody that gets one done is already doing things, good things,
It's a lot more that goes into it than people realize.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like this never-ending journey, but it is. Once you get through a couple humps, you're like, okay, we're onto something. We're gonna make this happen. So, like, once you hit that, you're like, okay, this is happening. That's a really good feeling, and then you just run with it and hope you don't burn out.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, like Tessa said, we're always curious to see how people do it because it is really hard. There's no one route about it. And, you know, thank you for openly sharing where you're at with that. But I am really excited about the story. Again, love the themes, the generational trauma. Oof, yes. That can go real deep. And it's just a fun space to play in, honestly. There's a lot you can do and still do it on a low budget. Like that's really
kind of a big thing there. It's like we know we kind of even wrote it to stay within a certain level of budget. So yeah.
as we do, Erin, running for a budget. I love that.
But yeah, let's pivot a little bit too, because I would love to hear more about your graphic design world as well, because I know you worked on a lot of movie posters and all of that. And for Carolina and I, whenever we were making ours, you know, it was like we knew we had these like stills that we really loved, but like trying to figure out like, okay, what doesn't just look cool, but like gives you a little tease of the story and is like, you know, would be what like a distributor, for instance, would be looking for, and all of that goes into it. Like it's another thing that it's like people don't realize how much thought and everything really goes into it.
Yeah, I've been doing graphic design work for over 15 years, and I've kind of stuck in that kind of wheelhouse of poster work and logos, and I just did a lot of freelance. In Austin, I did a lot of freelance with smaller companies and doing their logos, and then like I moved to Denver for a few years, and I did some graphic work for like a bed company or furniture company, and I did like a bunch of graphics for them, and so I just took those skills and then I kind of put together like a little sample, like a portfolio, and then when I got up to Portland, I kind of advertised that I did poster work, and then I got a lot of work up here doing a lot of poster stuff that I'm really proud of, and I'm glad that I was able to do those projects because
it gave you the skill.
A lot of them turned out pretty cool. Sometimes you get some projects that you just maybe not hitting on sometimes, but most of the time. Yeah, I really love designing. I got to do some work with a studio in LA and doing pitch decks, and that was really cool to like see the behind the scenes of that and kind of like work with some writers that I had their work I've seen when I was growing up as a kid. It's really cool.
That's really
incredible.
Cool. Yeah.
Did you go to school for it? Or is this all self-taught?
I did self-teach myself, but then I ended up going to community college and learning a little bit more like how the program works and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I always told myself if I didn't like go to school for musical theater, like I wish I had the opportunity to take courses in graphic design because it's incredibly applicable to all the work that you do as a filmmaker. I mean, I helped do our film title logo, for example, and then like I created our poster, but this is like I wish I could just do it all, like really do it all and like high quality. I'm just, as always, just doing what I can. So I'm always curious, like,
I'll help out anytime.
And you did, Erin. We have to shout out Erin for helping out with the billing credits placement. And I just, like, my brain decided that no more trying to figure this out. So I really, really appreciate you stepping in and helping. And that was something else that caught my eye following you. I fell in love with the posters that you were putting up. I thought you could really get the genre, a lot of thriller, horror in there too, which again, partially in favor of. So, do you feel like of what you learned from school, is it possible for someone to kind of build those skills on their own? Like, I know I think if I dedicated more time or found some other online courses, maybe I could keep going down this journey. But
Yeah.
I was curious, like, do you think, like, even, let me just speak for myself, like, I should go invest in some courses to kind of, because
Yeah, there's even a lot of online like tutorials and stuff now that are really good that kind of I learned more from some videos and tutorials than I did in school even, and it's kind
yeah.
of crazy.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more film posters specifically. I know Carolina and I had shared with our listeners and our subscribers and, you know, people that follow what we've been doing with Sync. We shared, you know, our experience and what we figured out in the process. But for anyone who, you know, maybe they're making their first feature as well and encountering this whole thing of film postering for the first time, like any tips and tricks that you might have, whether it's like how to technically make it or even just coming up with the design.
Yeah, I would say when you're shooting, I would try to get even some like a photographer to be on set so that they can maybe even take some promotional stills of like your actors in the space, or even if you have an idea for maybe something that you want the poster to be, it'd be cool to have that material as a poster designer. If they, you know, someone gives you like, oh, here's a bunch of like high quality stills, so you're not trying to pull from the footage, but I mean, even that, you should shoot in like 8K or 4K and get some nice images from the film. But yeah, I would just say that either if you have a pre-planned idea and then you get that on set, or just pulling specific stills from the film that you want.
Yeah, we want to shout out our unit stills photographer. By the way, guys, that is different than a BTS photographer. I think we might have mentioned this on the show. That is the must-have photographer that you need to do these gorgeous stills where they are literally stepping in and taking photos as you're shooting, or as Erin says, you come up with an idea, like try to get your actors in the space and utilize the time you have them on set to get these promo photos done. I had no idea what I wanted the poster to be, so I was just like praying that she got just some great shots while we were trying to do a million things at once.
Yeah.
I think next time around, a critique for myself is to think of like those moments a little bit more and call them out. Like, hey, by the way, we're going to do the scene today, but we were just so like,
right, yeah,
coming in at this time, cool, acting, directing, okay, cool, like, hope you got something. But I think
can, pile on your 80s, more to your 80s plate to like schedule.
Yeah, exactly. And Pam, our AD, shout out to her, she hooked us up with her. We were not even planning on this, and
Pam
it was amazing. Like, Pam,
we love Pammy.
Yeah, she hooked it up, and so I think it's but still just having that, like, okay, letting your AD know, right? Hey, like, we're doing this scene like today, make sure they get XYZ if they can. If you can't stop production to do extra shooting, because again, sometimes you just don't have the time to like do a whole photo shoot, right?
Yeah.
But something to think about while you're spending money for someone to be there on the day of is to schedule a little bit of that time. And yeah, something I definitely want to, like, now that I understand what even I've never heard, I might have heard unit stills, but not really. And it's very surprising. A lot of people haven't. Like, they think it's just BTS, but no, these are high quality images, like you said, that you use for promo materials, like your poster, that are even better than your screen grabs. Like, they're not going to print as well, potentially. Again, now, like you said, with 4K, 6K, that could be different, but it's still like, there's still that little, what's it called? It's just not as clean. So I think that's a really great thing to highlight as you are conceptualizing. And it's easier when you have all these images to look at. That's what helped me. I was like, okay, I started playing with the images we had and trying to blend scenes together, and that's where we landed with ours.
I would even say making maybe like a I use Pinterest a lot for like all my projects. I would even make a board for your poster. Maybe you pull other posters that you like or that inspire you, and that's something that's helpful to have, especially for designers. Like, oh, these are the types of posters that are inspired by. Those are cool.
I did that too. I looked at like 50 different sci-fi film posters and narrowed it down to 3.
Yeah.
So it's so helpful. Like you said, even if you're not creating it, to show someone as yourself who can design it for you, like this is what the feel, the look I'm going for. Yeah. These colors are kind of similar, you know, the genre is the same. It helps you, right? Do you feel like I guess if someone's looking to hire you, Aaron, what are things that you ask from the filmmaker when they're
basically kind of that. I like to have either samples or kind of inspired posters that they are kind of going for, and then kind of like just a detail on what they want as far as like what do they imagine this whole tone of everything to be and stuff. It's almost like an extension of directing. You know, usually you'll I guess when the higher tiers, they just have a whole agency creating these things for them with the marketing. I guess the distribution company, it's just like they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Do you find that a lot of filmmakers come to you with I don't want to say this in a negative way, but like with good ideas, you know what I mean? Like, do you feel like you more often than not are just kind of like, okay, I see what you're going for, let's create it? Or do you find that a lot of times you have to kind of be like, listen, this really isn't getting your point across, you know, what you're envisioning, or it's not going to sell because, you know, like, do you have that?
Yeah, no, normally it's the ideas are there for the most part, as far as like what they're kind of envision, and it usually goes pretty easy, and sometimes just it's a little, you got to work a little more to communicate and figure out what someone exactly wants sometimes. But
yeah,
that's great.
I think we were talking to, I want to say it was Alexandra Boylan. I can't remember if that's who it was, but I remember a filmmaker friend of ours saying something about how when she was selling her film, I assume it was the distribution company that she was talking about, that they really wanted to do like multiple posters to try to sell in different markets. So, you know, one poster was more like, you know, one person, you know, with an axe with the house burning in the background or whatever. And that was like very specific to like foreign horror or, you know, whatever. And then they came up with another poster that, you know, was a totally different look and almost would make you think it's a totally different story, you know, but it was just like selling to the tastes of that market or that genre. I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, that is a thing.
Yeah.
Do you find that a lot of filmmakers or find themselves having like 2 posters? We kind of landed with 2 picks, honestly, but one just feels a little bit more fit. But we did have a second favorite that just leaned a bit more horror, which our film's like more thriller. But I still think like that could be great to market to horror fans still. And I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I've done quite a few projects that I've done like multiple designs, and then we ended up liking like at least 2. Just like it's fun to have another poster to share.
Yeah. No, that's great to hear. And something you and I were chatting briefly on that I just love to kind of share on here with the way, you know, we're talking about technology and how it's advanced, and I I just want to hear like what has been your AI journey, especially when it comes to pitch decks, because that's something like I'm trying to always improve, and I just think like I'm starting to get better and better, and with the tools that are out there, I just feel like there's a lot that you can use. So yeah.
Like a lot of the pitch decks that I've done have been just pulled from multiple different films that are all in the same like tone as the end project, and there's some really good sites out there that I use. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but there's some that you don't have to pay to have access to, like a library. But and then using AI helps. I feel like when you can't find the specific thing you're looking for, or you have something so specific that you want to show in your deck that there's nothing you can pull from. I think that's where that technology comes in, where if it's really specific and you can't find it anywhere that's already been shot or something, it comes in handy to just put those images there that are really specific to what you have in your mind.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tools. I like using Shot Deck a lot for like film grabs and getting like film references from there. Phenomenal resource, and you just end up finding like more films that you might not even heard of, and then it's like on my watch list all of a sudden because I'm like, wait, need to watch this. And then something you and I were chatting about before too was like Mid-Journey, and how like that's something you can get really specific with. It's something I'm curious to like see if I can use to improve pitch decks and like kind of pull my it's still, so where I'm going with this, it's still challenging even though you're grabbing stills sometimes when you're trying to even do like some sort of mock-up poster from like literally nothing. That if you could kind of create your own fake AI characters to just have up doing the thing you want them to do, you know,
that's helpful.
So I think you've said that you found that to be really helpful, and you found it to be a great resource.
Yeah, especially if like you say, it can be hard to like find that exact thing
like
that you
moment.
You want to see to even see if it will work, and then you can use there's a lot of, I haven't used Midjourney in a while, but you can learn how to do the prompts and make something look good now. I'm sure there's like the newest version that's like way better than what I use.
Version 10.0. There it is. It's already here. I mean, even Canva has they I think relaunched like a whole program a few weeks ago with new AI tools. I kind of think it's a bit still the same, but I still haven't had to like finesse too much to need it. But I mean, there's so much that it can do still, and I find that really it's probably not as great as Midjourney, but like if anyone hasn't like tried Canva, I highly recommend trying it, and the pro version is definitely worth it. You just have access to like just great libraries, and there's a way if you get into it to manipulate templates, which are so easy to use, but then manipulate in a way that it doesn't feel like it's just a Canva presentation, because I know that's like the other reputation it has. It's just like, okay, here's the cheesy Canva template, and it's like,
I like Canva.
I fucking love Canva, but I know it could have this other side where it's like, okay, there are really easy to use templates on there, but B, you can manipulate them so much in a way where it doesn't feel like some stock presentation, you know? And still like it comes down to just knowing your brand colors, like changing all of that. It just helps so much and makes it feel very authentic to you and your story and the tone you're setting. But it's my number one tool. I like it more than Photoshop. It's way more intuitive. And that's where I'm like, I feel like I need to take a course, because I just can't get Photoshop to work for me, like where I'm not spending a whole day
Yeah.
like figuring out something stupid like copy and paste.
Photoshop is
I don't
not
know.
intuitive and user friendly. Like there's so many times when I'm like, I know this is possible in Photoshop, but I have to
Right.
Google what tool, where it is. Like,
Yeah, like where it even is
Yeah.
not like obvious to me most of the time.
Yeah.
So
Also, you
it's
can use
frustrating.
Canva on your phone.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally can just, but I get down with it real hard. So no, I glad you feel the same in your experience. Is there any other tools that you feel like are great, like user friendly, or places for people to check out?
Not like it wasn't like Canva. I use that one for my decks. It's just super easy to use,
Mhm.
and it's fast. And I can't
Yeah.
remember the name of the other sites that have like screenshots
Mm.
on there, but let me see
I
if I
know,
can.
like ShotDeck is the one that comes up to me the most, and then another great place to look, filmmakers, for like inspiration or potentially template downloads. Honestly, Pinterest, easy peasy.
Yeah.
Check it out. I love Pinterest boarding everything. And then behance.net is also really great. You can find graphic designers. It's basically a portfolio platform for graphic designers
Mm.
that showcases their work. So you can either, it's not the most intuitive of like, how do I contact this person? But a lot of times they have their info out there. And I've gotten just Photoshop template downloads that are user friendly for me to get like cool text to manipulate. So that's how I got the Chrome effect on sync, and follow our Instagram because I'm going to be showcasing kind of a breakdown on how I did that. But I found I can find free templates on there. And then some templates you got to pay for. So, but Behance.net was really sick. Like there's some really cool artists on there.
I found that site. It's called Shot Cafe.
Shot
Cafe.
Cafe.
I think it's Shot Cafe. But if you look that up, you'll find it.
Nice. Yeah, there's so many resources. And like jumping back to the AI conversation, I love how I think what both of you really are saying is like using the AI to get you started, to like, you know, compile information, or like Carolina, I love that you suggested like making a mock-up with AI, you know, art, like having it kind of create a scene that like, you know, is the look you want to go for. And then you can go, okay, do we have anything from our stills that kind of matches this look, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great tool to get you started, because I know there's so much, you know, debate on AI and everything like that, but it's like, this is giving you that template. This is giving you those ideas, that inspiration, compiling that information for then you to, as the artist, finesse.
Yeah.
But also when you have no money, like, that's just like what you gotta find a way to do your work. So I think I've been having more conversations with filmmakers on AI, and I think there's like a healthy way again to use it where you're like, okay, I literally have no money. Like I'm not a big studio where I can hire X amount of people to do even my pitch deck. Like that's literally I'm making my own poster for my feature, and it feels kind of wrong because I'm like, I'm not accredited, but it's like, you know, I reached, you know, I figure you got to figure it out. So I think like there is no shame in that personally. I'm starting to feel that way. I think we can like look at it and be like, okay, we're all literally struggling in some capacity.
Yeah.
If I have those resources, I don't want to take away work from people. I love employing people who are especially better than me, and their work always outshines. You know, like there's a sparkle why you pay people to do stuff, but I think on this level, it's like I'm trying to bring a vision to life. I don't even have a budget yet. You know, use tools that can really help further you. So if anyone's like feeling like nervous, I don't know.
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah,
You
just
can do it.
you can do it. It's okay. We won't drop the caps on you. Yeah. So, Aaron, is there what else are you excited on working on or have in the works that you'd like to share with us today?
Yeah.
Anything else?
I just shot a music video that I'm excited to get editing on, and we got a couple of shots that we gotta get to round it all off, but that's gonna be coming pretty soon. And then I got a short film that's part of an anthology, like a horror anthology thing that
Ooh.
my first paid thing project, and I'm really excited about it. It's gonna be really scary and a
Can be
little
really scary.
a little
I
more
have
gory than I'm
nightmares.
used to. Yeah,
Yeah, you'll
I'm
definitely
really
have to
excited
share
about
that with us because we're big horror fans. So we're always
Yeah.
looking
Yeah,
for
I'll
some really
definitely
scary stuff.
have some posts coming up soon, and let everybody know, and send some DMs your way of what's going on.
Amazing. And on that track, by the way, tell our listeners where they can find your work and keep up with you.
Yeah, so follow me on Instagram. That's the main place where I hang out, and it's just my full name, which is very long, but maybe I could think of a username, but it's just Aaron Isaac Vasquez.
I like it. I like it long. It's all good. We will. That's that's Aaron with 2 A's in Aaron and Isaac.
Aaron.
Hey, Aaron. Okay.
We'll put it in the show notes too.
We'll put it in the show notes. Yeah. Everyone can stay connected with you there, get inspired by your work, and follow along. I highly recommend giving him a follow and keeping up with the work that you're doing. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and if anybody wants to ask questions, I'm always happy to help.
He's super responsive, guys. Again, helped me out in a jiff when I was stressed about our poster. And no, really appreciate that. Thank you for leaving the door open too for our listeners.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening to FemRegard Podcast. If you like what you hear, tune in every Friday for more tips on the filmmaking business and insightful conversations with industry professionals. We can only grow with your support, so please subscribe, share, rate, and review. You can also join the Fem Fam on Patreon. For more on us, check us out at femregard.com.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.